Martha, when you talk of demand, what comes into your mind? What do you think demand is?
I think demand it's like when consumers or let's say consumers want a specific good or service at a specific price and at a specific period of time.
Okay, yes, that is fine. It is a situation where consumers want a particular product at a certain price, as you've said it. Yes, that is fine. We can take on that. Okay, maybe something small. We can as well define demand and say that what you were calling want, we can say the desire. So when you talk about demand, we can say that it is the desire for a commodity backed by the ability of the consumer to pay for it at a given price in a given period of time. So that desire you have, or what you call want or need for a commodity, and you have to back it with the ability of the consumer, meaning that you should be in position or you should be able to pay for it, okay? Then at that particular price that has been stated or given, and in a particular price, because what you need today is not what you need tomorrow. So there is always a change in what you need or what you are in need of. Then that one takes us to another part we call a demand schedule. When you talk of a demand schedule, it is just a table, but this table, it is just showing how price and quantity demanded relate, or the relationship between the quantity demanded and the price. Like in that table you see, we have a column for unit price. Then we also have on the left, on the right, the total quantity in 1,000 units. You can see that when the price was at 130, let's say dollars, we can take units to be dollars. If the price was at $130, only 10 units were demanded. When the price reduced to $125, then there was a slight increment in the quantity demanded, that is 20 units. When you continue like that, you see up to 107 down there. The quantity demanded increased up to 48,000 units. So you can see that the price goes down, then even the quantity demanded keeps on increasing. So a table that illustrates that for us is what we refer to as a demand schedule. When I proceed, we have what we call the law of demand. The law of demand, it is basically derived from the demand schedule. If you look at the demand schedule itself, you can see that when the price was very high at $130, very few units were bought, that is only 10 units. But when the price went down to $107, then the quantity demanded increased to 48,000 units. And from there, we are able to derive the law of demand, and it says that on your screen. Martha, can you read for me what the law of demand says?
It states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded.
Okay. That the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, meaning that whenever the price is too high, like at $130, only 10 units were demanded. You can see that from the demand schedule. So that clearly explains this law of demand, that whenever you find that the price of a given commodity is too high, just know very few units of that commodity will be demanded. But when the price goes down or it reduces, then the quantity demanded also increases. Another example you can put here is, let's look at the current price of fuel we have here in Uganda. Today, a liter is now at an average of 60,000 shillings, if not more. You can see that when the price is so high like so, very few businessmen or even drivers can use their vehicles. Even when they go to the petrol stations, they buy very few units. You find somebody only buying 5 liters because the price is too high. But if it so happens that the price goes down, for example, it goes back to 4,000, 3,500, you will find that the liters of fuel that shall be bought at that time will increase. Somebody who bought 5 liters previously, this time might be able to buy 10 liters or even 15. So that clearly explains the law of demand, that whenever price is high, quantity demanded reduces. But when the price goes down, then quantity increases. That's what we mean by the law of demand. Then we move forward, we talk about the demand curve. A demand curve is just a locus of points or a graph that represents the quantity of goods demanded against the different prices in a given period of time. So we shall be able to know the quantity that is demanded and at what price. This demand curve is usually developed from the demand schedule. We plot on a graph, we plot the price on the vertical axis, then you also plot the quantity demanded on the horizontal axis. There, we shall be able to get the demand curve. Like, for example, when you look at when the price was at PA, the quantity demanded was 2A. So we get that point A there. Now, when we come to when the price reduced, because you can see that price A is higher than price B. So at price B, the quantity demanded increased a little bit. It moved to 2B. So we get point B there. So that means that when the price went down from PA to PB, then even the quantity also increased from 2A to 2B. That one there, when we plot those 2 points, that is point A and point B, we are able to get what we call a demand curve. So that is a locus of points that shows the quantity of goods demanded against the different prices in a given period of time. Moving forward, we have what we call the types of demand. One is called competitive demand. Another one is joint or complementary demand, composite demand, and then independent demand. Martha, when you talk about competitive demand, what do you think we are meaning there? Martha?
Yeah, I think it means when producers are making products, trying like, or let me say like the community or the consumers are demanding a specific type of good or service, and producers are competing to provide that service or good.
Okay, okay. All right, well tried on that. Okay, can we try joint or complementary demand?
Joint or complementary demand.
Any idea about that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, we can push down to composite demand. Any idea there?
I also don't have any idea on that one.
Okay, fine. All right, but when you talk about competitive demand, as you hear the word competitive, it means you are dealing in something that is related to your competitor or to you, to another person. You are all dealing in the same products. Therefore, when we talk about competitive demand, we mean the demand for substitutes. You are demanding commodities that serve the same purpose. For example, you are demanding for Colgate, at the same time you are demanding for Delident. Those two serve the same purpose because they are all toothpaste. But we know you cannot use those two at the same purpose at the same time. So for us, when such happens and we're asking for the same products at the same time, we say we are having a competitive demand. Demand for commodities that serve the same purpose. Last time we looked at substitute goods, and I remember telling you that a substitute is that good or product that serves exactly as the original product. For example, we can have when it comes to washing detergents, you can talk about Ariel. You can also talk of Magic. Those two are serving the same purpose. So that's what we refer to as a competitive demand. Then when we move to joint or complementary demand, this refers to demand for commodities that are used together or commodities that are used at the same time. As you hear the word joint, complement, as in you cannot use one product in isolation. You have to use both of them at the same time. Take an example. You cannot be with a phone without airtime. So airtime and then a phone, they are complementary goods. Okay, so that's what we mean by joint demand. Moving forward, composite demand. This one you didn't have an idea, but here it is. It says, this is demand for commodities with many uses. Demand for commodities that has got so many uses. For example, electricity. Can you cite for me some of the uses of electricity we have, Martha?
Yeah, we use electricity for light.
Okay.
We use electricity for ironing, cooking.
Okay, yes, that is very true. So if you find that there is a product you are demanding for, and that product has got so many uses, for us to conclude and say there is a composite demand there. Then lastly, we have what we call independent demand. Can you read for me what independent demand is from your screen?
Independent demand refers to demand for commodities which do not have any relationship at all.
Okay, all right. Independent demand. from the ordinary English, when we say that you are independent, it means you can stand alone, okay, without relying on others. So it is the same story here. We can borrow it from that side, that independent demand is the demand or the desire for commodities that are not related in any way. For example, when you ask for a shoe and you also ask for a phone, the two are not connected in any way, but that's what you want. Then for us, we say there is independent demand there. Another example we can put there, we can talk about, you can ask for bread and a basin. How are the two connected? Not at all in any way. Then for us, we say that form of demand you are having, we term it as independent demand. Martha, those are the different types of demand that we have. Now, having seen that, we can now move to another part that is called the factors that influence the level of demand. Maybe before we go to that, according to you, Martha, what do you think are some of the factors that influence our level of demand? What will influence you to buy or not to buy a given commodity? Martha?
It's quality.
Okay. How can you try to expand on it further? How can quality influence you or influence your level of demand?
If a good or service is having the best quality, I will want to buy it because I know that it will be able to serve me well.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Any other?
Let me see. Also the price of the goods. Also the period that it would take for me to receive it.
Okay. How can the price affect your demand? Try to expand on it and we see.
If the price is very high.
How can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, if the price is very high, I may not want to buy that product because it's very expensive. But if the price is low, then I may be able to buy it.
Okay. All right, that's very true. All right, that's fine. Thank you so much on that. Now on my list here, I have the different factors that influence the level of demand. And as you said, one of them, number one, is price of the commodity. That whenever the price is high, then your level of demand goes down because you won't be able to buy at that particular price. Then we also talked about the level, or we have number two as the level of consumers' income. According to Martha here, how is consumers' level of income affecting demand? Martha?
If the consumer has little income and the prices of commodities are expensive, then that consumer will not be able to buy that good or service.
All right, that's very true. That whenever your income level is very low, you can't be able to buy high quantities of that particular product. But where your income is high, then you are in position to buy the commodities. That's very true. Okay, let's move to point number three. Price of complementary goods. First of all, what is a complementary good, Martha?
Sorry.
We are talking about point number 3, that price of complementary goods as one of the factors that influence the level of demand. But I would like to know, what do we mean when we talk of a complementary good?
Those those are goods that are used at the same time, or they are used together.
Wonderful. Then how is that affecting the level of demand, Martha?
If those goods, for example, like we say that there are goods that are used at the same time, if they are very expensive, you'll find that you will not be able to buy them, because you may have money to buy just one, but you can't use it because you need another one. So if the prices are very high, then you find that someone is not able to buy those goods.
Okay, all right, that's very true that you said it, that complementary goods are goods that are used at the same time. We give an example. For example, we have shoe and then shoe polish. We have those and they are supposed to be used at the same time. But you find a situation where the shoes are cheap, but the shoe polish is expensive. So you find that somebody may say, let me not buy this one because I will not even be able to use it. Okay, so whenever such commodities are expensively sold, then it highly affects the level of demand because the quantity bought shall be very low. Number next, we have price of substitutes. According to Martha, how is this one affecting the level of demand?
Yeah, I think sometimes, since substitutes are products that serve the same purpose like the original, you may find that maybe the original you want to buy is not available, and then you have to buy the substitute, but it's quite expensive, and that can influence the level of demand, because you find that both of them are expensive, both of them are expensive, the substitutes and the originals.
Okay. All right, maybe something small on that when we talk of price of the substitutes, this affects demand in various ways. For example, if the price of the substitute is too high, that means the customers are going to leave the substitute and then they buy the former. For example, if you have product A and product B, and those two are substitutes. If the price of A increases, customers will not buy it. They will just move to B and buy that because they all serve the same purpose. I was giving you an example of Magic and Ariel, and they are all washing detergents. If a sacket of Ariel powder is at, say, 800 shillings, and then the sacket of Magic is at 1,000 shillings. The customers will leave Magic of 1,000, then they will buy Ariel of 800 shillings. So you have to be considerate there. What is the substitute to your product? Because it will greatly affect your level of demand. Okay, moving to the next one, we have population size. Can you try that, Martha?
I think so. I could say if you have goods and services that you're providing, and you may find that the people you're providing to are so many, and they have a high demand for those goods or services. So you may not have enough services to of that there are so many.
Oh, it's unfortunate that you're breaking. I did not get you well there. However, when you talk of population, we are looking at the number of customers who are buying your products in that particular area. That if the population in an area is high, that confirms that even the level of demand shall be high, because whenever people are very many, even their needs are also very many or they're very high. But in an area that is not highly populated, you'll find that even the demand for a particular product is going to be very low. That is something that you can also look at as one of the factors that greatly affects demand. I want you to look at point 6 up to 11. Can you select for me one that you can explain with ease, Martha?
Okay, let me read through them.
Pardon?
I was saying, let me read them.
Okay, it's okay.
I think I can try maybe number 9.
Number 9,
and
okay.
maybe a number 8. Number 8, I'm
Right.
not sure, but I think I can try.
It's okay. Let's start with 9. Where I show.
It says consumer tastes and preference. Yeah, sometimes you may have goods and services that you are producing, but you find that the customers don't like those goods or services. They prefer something different from what you're producing. So you find that if you produce your products, you find that the level of demand is low because the consumers do not like those products. They prefer something different.
Right. That's true. Okay. Can we move to another one? You said number 8. You can try it. Let's go.
Okay, level of advertising. You may have products that you are maybe the way you're advertising them does not appeal to the general public, or you may not have enough funds to advertise your products. Maybe you may have little money and you advertise products maybe in ways that the public is not able to get to know your goods.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well tried about those two factors. However, as we explain these points, I want you to keep this in mind that you should try and tell us when will demand be high and when will it be low, as you explain that particular point. For example, when you go to point number 1, we have price of the commodity. When you talk of price of the commodity, can you explain to us when will demand be high and when will demand be low, still basing on that particular point? Okay, we have here, it says price of the commodity, and they're saying when the price is high, the demand for the commodity will be low. And when the price is low, the quantity demanded of that commodity will also be high. So that is something that you have to look at. Okay, you have to tell us in your explanation when will demand be high and when will demand be low, still in line with that point. Okay, I would like to proceed to the next point. It says level of consumers' income, that when the consumer's income is high, the level of demand will be high, and when the income is low, the level of demand will also be low. That is something that you should also look at. I want to scroll down to the rest of the points that we did not talk about. That was point number 6. Let's start with the government. Okay, that one explained. Let's move to government policy on taxation. We say that for a favorable government policy like subsidization of consumers, it leads to an increase in the level of demand. Yet for unfavorable government policies like high taxation of consumers, it leads to low level of demand. So here we also look at what is the government policy in relation to the demand of the commodity that we need. Whenever the government is unfavorable to us, as in it is taxing us highly, that means the demand for that particular commodity is going to be very low compared to a situation where the taxes charged on that particular commodity is low. Then its demand will be very high. So you have to consider that, and then we'll move on. Another one said the level of advertising. This is what we are trying, and here it is. It says commodities which are highly advertised have a high demand. That the more you advertise your products, the more customers that you will get. But for commodities which are not highly advertised, then their level of demand is low. So if you just sit back and you do not advertise your products, then very few people will get to know about your products. And at the end of the day, you will get very few customers and automatically low sales for that matter. So the level of advertisement or a level of advertising greatly impacts on the level of demand because customers get to know about your products through the adverts that you make. When we move forward, I have a point here that says consumers' taste and preference. This one you tried to explain it. Yeah, that one we don't need to go through it again. I move to the next one. It says seasonal changes. Seasonal changes, it says that commodities which are seasonally demanded, for example, success cards. When do you always ask for success cards, Martha?
Yeah, that's normally, I could say, let me talk about schools. When students or children are in candidate classes, then they would expect.
Okay. Like those who are in candidate classes, that's what I've had. Now we're saying that commodities that are seasonal, like success cards. For example, today, this is June. If you are selling success cards, how many or what will be the number of customers that you'll get? Will it be very high or very low, and why?
It will be very low because the season for buying success cards is not yet. So few people would buy, or even no one would buy.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, that's the thing. So demand is also affected by the season. we are checking when are you buying or when are you selling that commodity. If you're selling it during off season, then very few, if not zero, will buy that product. But when you sell during season, then you will get very many customers. Another example we can put here is about the Valentine gifts and flowers. When you move to town during that season for Valentine, February there, you'll always find very many flowers on the streets of Kampala and even different shopping malls. You'll find that everywhere they are selling flowers because it is season for Valentine or for flowers, let's say. So for that case, you'll find that the demand is too high for such flowers. But when it is off season, you don't even find those flowers in town. They just remove them from the store. They don't have them, or they just remove them and keep them somewhere and wait for another season to come. Therefore, whenever it is on season, then the level of demand is always high. But when it is off season, the level of demand is very, very low. That's what we have to say about that. Then we move to the next factor, that is habitual demand or habitual products. That habitual, it comes from the word habit, and here we are basically looking at products that you consume as a habit. If you demand for a commodity, or if your demand for a commodity is like a habit, then its demand is going to be high. For example, we have smokers. Every now and then, they cannot spend a full day minus taking, say, a cigarette. They cannot. Their demand for such a commodity is a habit. It is habitual. Therefore, the demand for such commodities always goes up or high compared to those who do not have such habitual demand or that habitual demand. That means the demand for such commodities is going to be very low. Here we are saying commodities that are consumed as a habit, for example, alcohol, cigarettes, etc., have a very high demand than commodities which are not consumed as a habit. So that is something that you also have to consider as you are determining the level of demand. That is basically the factor or the factors you have to look at when you are determining or influencing the level of demand. I want to take you a little bit back and we look at these same factors. We have said that the factors that influence the level of demand are those ones. Now, I would like to ask, if I ask you to explain for me any 3 factors that lead to increase, I want you to mark that word, that lead to increase in the level of demand, how are the points going to be? Martha?
Okay. I would say that lead to increase. You had said that lead to increase of demand.
Yes, increase in the level of demand.
Hello?
Yes, please. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, you said some factors that lead to the increase of the level of demand.
Yes.
So you want me to choose on the list? Okay, it would be, I would say number 11. I would say, can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say number 11.
Okay.
Then I would say number 3, but this time the point would change to maybe low price of
That's it.
complementary goods.
That's
And
very
then,
true.
yeah, and then low price
True.
of substitutes.
True.
And also low price of the commodities.
Okay, that's very true. That's very true. So when we ask for factors that lead to increase in the level of demand, then that means you are supposed to give me, we call them biased points. Biased points. Points that are leaning towards a certain side. That's why we are saying low price of the commodity, high level of consumers' income, low price of complementary goods, high price of substitutes. So that's how the points are going to be if they say factors that lead to increase. The same will happen if they say factors that lead to decrease in the level of demand. Again, you will give biased points, yes, but this time when we are leaning on the negative side or on the side of low demand. For example, when we are to use point number 1, price of the commodity, there you will say high price of the commodity. You will not just say price of the commodity, because when you say price of the commodity, there you are neutral, okay? That one only comes when you're going to explain on both sides. But when they ask for a biased type, when they ask a biased type of question, you should also give biased points. That's what I had to say there on that. All right, for that case, unless there is a question, Martha, I request that we stop there. Then we shall be meeting for another discussion still in that line. Any question, Martha?
Yeah. No, I don't have any question.
Okay, please. Thank you for attending. I wish you a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.